Okay, this video is on the global warming debate, and what I'm going to show is the fraud in the model itself. That's what I'm going to do. Like, what they do, like all the universities and everything around the world, they are teaching fraud, and I see exactly how they're tricking people. And there's other people out there that know this also. They've caught on to it, the fraud. And in the model itself, it's fraud. What they do is they try to demonize carbon dioxide. That's their goal. That's their agenda. Because whenever you control a power supply by making a whole bunch of regulations, like you make regulations for oil, you make regulations for like what cars people can drive, how they can farm, how they run their businesses and everything. When you control the power supply, you can control everything, and even money, because money itself simply represents the energy, because it takes a certain amount of energy, to make something or to do anything really. So money simply represents that energy that it took to make whatever thing you want, or do whatever you want. So it's like, to get food, it takes energy to make the food, to get it to the store so that you can eat it, so that you can walk down the street or ride your bicycle. It's weird. Like, when you control energy, you control everything. And if you have inefficient energy, then it means that things cost more, because the energy, it's inefficient and it costs more for the energy, and therefore it costs more to make something or do something. So like, that's their agenda. So what they do to demonize the carbon dioxide is, in their model itself, they're trying to cheat, make a deceptive model. And what they do is they take the intensity of the sunlight. Okay, it's called the solar flux, but that's the intensity. I'm going to keep it simple. But in order to demonize the CO2, they try to make the sun appear as though it's too weak to heat the earth. So what they do is they take the sunlight on the daylit side of the earth, and then they spread it all over the dark side of the earth, where it never in reality shines. It never shines there. And then they say, oh, well, we're just averaging it out. But it's this game that, like, whenever you average it out, it weakens the intensity, and it's equal to the sun being twice as far away. So because naturally the sun does not shine on the dark side of the earth. This is the game that they're playing. They're like, oh, but we got to average the sun over, a period of time or something. But, in the model, like 342 WM2 in the IPCC model, what that means is 342 watts per meter square per second. And then they apply that to the entire earth. So basically it's a flat earth model. And like, that's the false base premise. It's like to weaken the sun by making a flat earth model, and then just like tell people like, oh, well, we're just calculating the area of the earth, or we're just averaging it out, and like making out like that doesn't like make it fraud or make it into a false model. They say, oh, just never mind that. That's their smoke and mirrors. They don't want you to look behind the curtain, or like, hey, like, don't look behind the curtain. We're just averaging that out. Don't worry about that. And then what they do is they just push that aside, and then they get into demonizing the carbon dioxide fraudulently. And it does, like, carbon dioxide doesn't do what they say that it does either. You know, in their model, they say that it like creates twice the amount of heat as the sun. They say that the sun is minus 18 degrees of heating ability, you know, and then they say, well, you know, the carbon dioxide, it like, you know, they put it through this cycle where it like heats and then heats again twice as much as the sun, you know, even though it has no nuclear or no chemical reactions in order to produce that amount of heat. And then heat moves from hot to cold only. Okay, that's another trick, is that, you know, they have like this back heating or something where there is no back heating or back radiation. Like carbon dioxide, it's kind of like an aluminum bar. If you have a flame and then you heat an aluminum bar, the aluminum bar will get hot and then it will radiate the heat away from the flame, but it'll never make the flame hotter, you know, because like the flame will get to a certain temperature, and it doesn't matter if the bar gets up to the same temperature as the flame, it's never gonna make the flame hotter. See, like, that's the game that they're playing in their model. They say that the carbon dioxide, you know, the sun hits the earth, but the earth doesn't make the sun hotter. And then once the earth is hot, the earth heats the air, and then the air can't make the earth hotter than what it heated the air. So the sunlight hits the earth, it heats the earth, and then the earth heats the air, and then the energy or the heat is radiated away, you know, out towards space. Like if you had a flame and then you had a beaker of carbon dioxide and then you had, you know, a prism, what would happen is the light from the flame, it would go through the carbon dioxide, and then the infrared would be scattered, and then it would not make a line on, you know, through the prism. It wouldn't make the full rainbow. The infrared would be like missing. It's because it's getting scattered. It's not going back to the flame like a laser beam and heating the flame up, making the flame hotter. Like, it just doesn't work that way, but that's the way that they have it set up in their little model. And, you know, there's like all kind of other problems. Like carbon dioxide sinks. It doesn't, like, if you it doesn't rise up. If you filled a bunch of like balloons up with carbon dioxide, they wouldn't rise up and create a dome around the earth. They, like, carbon dioxide's heavy. It would sink and go into the gutters. All the balloons would like kind of like, you know, like kind of roll into gutters and stuff, because like the carbon dioxide's like, you know, heavier than air. So it's kind of a weird substance. Another thing is that it absorbs, like aluminum absorbs radiation quickly, and then it radiates it away quickly, and that's how carbon dioxide works. And it's used as a coolant in a coolant industry. That's like one thing that they don't tell you, but like I went on a trip, and like as we're driving on the highway, there's this tractor trailer, and it had a tank, and on the tank it said CO2 or carbon dioxide, and it said that it was a coolant. And I'm like, oh, there you go. Oh, I should have taken a picture. I was driving or whatever, but I should have taken a picture of the thing. But it was like funny. Even on the side of on a container, it said that it was a coolant also. But yeah, it's a coolant. And yeah, there's just all kind of problems with their model. You know, like if you think about it, like the people that go into space, they have to protect themselves from the radiation of the sun. It's more intense before it reaches the earth, and the atmosphere blocks a lot of the intensity of the sun. So what's crazy is that, the sun's radiating the energy away before it reaches the earth. So how could the atmosphere be trapping the heat twice as much when we know that it's radiating the dangerous, solar flux, the intense solar flux? It's radiating it away before it even gets to the earth. So it's like a catch-22. And another catch-22 is solar panels. Solar panels, when they sell a 1 square meter solar panel, okay, they say that the sun hits it at 1,000 watts per meter square and per second. So what's crazy is in the model, they say that the sun, the intensity of the sun, is only 342 watts per meter square per second. So whenever they go to sell you a panel, they try to tell you that it's really efficient, and they say that it's 1,000 watts per square meter per second, that the sun is actually hitting it at sea level. But then in their model, they say that they reduce the intensity by averaging it over the dark side of the earth also, and it makes it weak, and then they say that it's only 342 watts per meter square per second. So that's another catch-22 contradiction that they have in their model. But it just goes on and on. Like a greenhouse, the way that a greenhouse works is that it physically traps the air. It can't go anywhere. That's why the inside of this car gets hot in the summer. It's because the air physically gets trapped. The air's physically trapped, and it can't escape and mix with colder air. But if I open up the windows and the hot air in here goes out, then it's able to mix, and it rises up. The hot air will rise up, and then it'll radiate into space. If I set off a nuclear bomb, it would create a mushroom cloud. It would rise up into space, and it would radiate off into space. It isn't going to just kind of keep reheating the earth, because the air mixes. So that's another contradiction. But yeah, these people that made the global warming models, they have agendas. They know that what they're doing is just a big, it's just fraud, and it's a lie. And then they have some agenda to sell solar panels, and they may be into depopulation stuff, and it fits all these liberal agendas that they have. So they like it, and then they just keep pushing it, even though it's a false flat earth model. Well, I guess I'll just end my video there. Thanks for watching.